colleagues from Morocco for this very important first session of the U.S.-Morocco Strategic Dialogue.
I stay up, never sleep, cause we gotta go. That way, yeah. Nation deep, Mufti's on the road, 70. I stay up, sleeping in my plan. Why? Cause there they go, trying to sense the process in my land. We get all the prophets in my land. God bless all the prophets in my land. Take off all my flight before my land. Yeah, my land. Yeah, my land. Bury the hate, shine with the love. I am a God. Honor my fam, longer my days. Guy in the shot. I throw the Hail Mary, get bloody like Carrie. Die in my prom, like busting the grape, then pressing rewind. Get better with time, I fall home to the fortress. Memorize all the records of the Moors, live buried in my conscience. Library of the Congress, lives vary by the context. 1492, talk about the Spanish when it came to conquest. In real life, playing contraband, trying to fill with the contraband. Hard life for an honest man, all night for my daughter. On a hot block with no matzah, in my land. That's express trust in the plan. You Ali, prophet of man. Who I be, Conway Stevens. Yes indeed, this be my land. I stay up, never sleep, case we gotta go. That way, yeah. Nation deep, Mufti's on the road, 70. I stay up, sleeping in my plan. Why? Cause there they go, trying to sense the process in my land. We get all the prophets in my land. God bless all the prophets in my land. Take off all my flight before my land. Yeah, my land.
It's not a city corpse. 10,000 years haven't been a corpse. Foreigners came to my land pointing guns and swinging Jesus cross. Empire, not a cityscape. 5 atomic, not shitty lakes. Continent, not Turtle Island. Nobleman, not a wild man. Home is North America, not a stranger, but the landlord. Free white people, not Negro, black, Ethiopia, colored. Navigating with my water. Blacks are still getting slaughtered. Nationality, the order. Foreigners create world borders. Calling themselves governors since they can't call themselves babe. To keep you in ignorance, they replace the E with the A. Keep you defended, always a defendant. Kill your brother over sneakers, but when the highwaymen kill you, you won't defend it.
I stay up, never sleep, case we gotta go. That way, yeah. Nation deep, Mufti's on the road, 70. I stay up, sleeping in my plan. Why? Cause there they go, trying to sense the process in my land. We get all the prophets in my land. God bless all the prophets in my land. Take off all my flight before my land. Yeah, my land. Whoa, I stay up.
Yes, Mom.
Case we gotta go that way. Nation deep, Mufti's on the road.
It is a violation
I stay up, sleeping in my plan.
of dignity.
Trying to sense the process in my land.
As long as there is blood,
God bless all the prophets in my land.
name of God, true and lasting peace.
My land.
You may not have heard of the Moorish Nationals, but police have members claim to follow Moorish science. It comes from a black religious group that's been around for nearly a century.
Moors trace their beliefs to noble Drew Ali.
Got emerald tablets on me. I'm taking these shackles off me. Now watch me come out, then warm up. I'm packing more heat, it's on us. I rock, I'll be gone, I rock on my home. Got bars like Barcelona. My cars, they on it. My style so wild, they on it. Yeah, they on it. My style so wild like Kato. Green Hornet, we on it. Yeah, we on it. Bottom block, low key, lay low, we on it. They say the Moors back in heat, but they the ones send flyers. The weak man can't compete. I see the world like Elijah. Cool Bay, ain't no why. Love truth, ain't no lie. Paracon should rewind that and tell them niggas put the sign back. Got movies knocking down the doors, breaking locks, free the Moors. And Draw Lee be the prophet. They hit the man on the floors. Active Moors be the loudest, dirty Moors be the foulest. dollars. And everybody else surrounded by the corporations trying to get the power. You cannot put this into words. Shemitahs over swords. The empire never falls over. We can brawl over what you thought. I'm LC with the merry men. Shaking Mexican like I'm Tenement. Go to war like a relevant. That's a martial law. You don't want it, man. Got emerald tablets on me. I'm taking these shackles off me. Now watch me come out, then warm up. I'm packing more heat this on us. I rock, I be gone. I rock on my home. Got bars like Barcelona. My cars say all they on it. My style so wild, they on it. Yeah, they on it, they on it. My style so wild like Kato. We on it, we on it. Yeah, yeah. We on it, we on it. Bottom, rock, low key, lay low, we on it.
Not a religious black group. Moorish is not a cult. Moorish might gun but slap you for Drew Ali insults. Pedophile claims against him, but Elijah gets a pass. Disrespectful NFs did the same to Malik El Shabazz, calling them black and such. That's denationalization. Negro black, call it African, not a real but fake nation. Drew is a subconscious mind state. Hebrew Israelite verb, combating lessons dismissed. No wonder y'all concerned. Every time conscious guys speak, it's absurd posers. I get on my Taj, disrespect and walk off cause convo's over. Arab lie on the prophet, Dirty Moors support his book. Levi plagiarize a Akashic, but they call Drew Ali crook.
Got emerald tablets on me. I'm taking these shackles off me. Now watch me come out, then warm up. I'm packing more heat this on us. I rock, I be gone. I rock on my home. Got bars like Barcelona. My cars say all they on it. My style so wild, they on it. Yeah, they on it, they on it. My style so wild like Kato. We on it, we on it. Yeah, yeah. We on it, we on it. Bottom, block, low key, lay low, we on it.
He is a member of the Moorish nation. Moors trace their beliefs to noble Drew Ali, who founded the Moorish Science Temple in Chicago with tens of thousands of followers. Islam. All black Americans are Moorish Americans, descendants of an ancient Moroccan global empire, an idea some followers have taken one step further.
Islam Wars, happy holy day to all the Moors worldwide. Honors to all the Moors. Everywhere that you're at, honors to you for all the Moors. So, we're at the festivities today for the trumped up charges on Rise of the Moors for exercising their Second Amendment. And while it's going on, you know, the parts that had any importance to it, I started wondering, why is it that this thing is going down where it's going down? Right? Like, what, you know? So, why not check the area and see what's up with this area? What's up with this area? So doing some research and find out that the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. So if the entire criminal justice system is tainted, you think these Moors stood a chance up in there? They didn't stand a chance, because the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. And don't debate Moors. Go talk to Cade Crockford, Director, ACLU of Massachusetts Technology for Liberty Project, April 17th, 2017. The entire, you know what entire means, right? So don't let the soft voice and gentle hand gestures of European foreigners holding positions of authority in a corporation and posing like they have some type of authority. They don't, because the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. Entire. And remember, this is not Morris talking. Why is the entire criminal justice system tainted, but people are looking at what they're doing as legitimate? Which is why Dave Love, let's get Dave up there. Dave, honors to Dave. Honors to Dave for seeing it for what it is. Right? Honors to Dave. Right? Honest to Dave, because what he did was he called it. He called it. Called it for what it is. Called it for what it is. Black Boogyman syndrome explains media coverage of Rise of the Moors versus Patriot Front. David A. Love. Black Boogeyman syndrome. Right now, they have you scared of the boogeyman. Same stuff that we were saying a couple days ago, that you're trying to tell me you believe in tooth fairies now. You're trying to tell me you're an adult and you saw rabbits lay eggs. You're telling me that the elves really helped make all that stuff that went under the tree. If you're telling me that those Moors, they shoulda, if they only woulda. You know the Moors are, you don't want to hear anything from you people. They created a boogeyman. Didn't for the past year they say there was a boogeyman here that had hospitals full and all that stuff? And you fell for that? And I know people who had it and recovered. They didn't die. They maybe tried population control, but too many people survived it. So they had to make a boogeyman. Same thing they did with Rise of the Moors. Made a boogeyman. How do we know they made a boogeyman? Because the whole time from the initial, whoever the first news people who were there that broadcasted it, until the day of court, they were prepping the dummies for the boogeyman. They were prepping them. They weren't ready yet. But not only were they prepping them, they were also creating their case. Because they already know the only place that they could have went was the Massachusetts dangerous hearing. Why do you think they put it in the news like that? To put it in the minds that these people are dangerous. Standoff. Highway shut down. Police everywhere. Men with guns. Hiding in the bushes. Camouflage. They got black vans out there.
They were setting up. Remember, we're talking about the entire criminal justice system of Massachusetts. The entire system. And everybody was working together because we already know the court people aren't the news people. And we already know as soon as they cut off the live feed, here came the setup of making Rise of the Moors the black boogeyman that they're going to use in order to mess up some people's lives. For what? Mess up their lives for what? What were they doing that you have to mess up these people's life? Oh, forgot. The entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. The entire. And don't debate us, debate Cade Crockford. European. Looks like a European. Who's telling you the whole system's corrupt? The whole thing is tainted. So if that whole thing's tainted, what do you think about all the other ones around here? You think those are legitimate or something? And you want to know how come stuff never happens in favor of our people? Even the good people. Even the good people, you go on YouTube right now and search Rise of the Moors, Second Amendment, and see how many people out there are talking about them in a positive. Again, which is why they did cut the streets down. Have it look like this is some type of terrorist whatever cell that's going into the bushes to go train. To go to the bushes to go train. Because they're a threat. They were creating the boogeyman. Remember, it's a corrupt system, so they're going to do whatever it takes to make their finance, to mess up people's lives, to get their self out of hot water. The stuff is deep. Our people don't know how deep this stuff is again. We know as Moors, we know how deep this stuff is. And we know that they're messing up people's lives right now. Just because they can. Because they know Negro, black, colored, and whoever else are not going to do anything about it because they don't think that they're Moors. Even though they're getting worse treatment than the Moors got. They're getting worse treatment than the Moors got and are getting. So they set this whole thing up from the jump because they already knew that they're going to get them at the dangerous hearing. Why? Because it's at the discretion of the judge. And all the judge was doing was dismissing motions. Dismissing motions. That's why you don't hire a lawyer. Because lawyers can't submit affidavits. Lawyers have to submit motions. And motions are at the judge's discretion. Which means that it's going to be the judge's word against the Moor's word because there's no jury. Now what's interesting is SJC overturns bail hearing by Salem judge. When a Salem district judge last week refused to revoke the bail of a man charged with punching and shoving his elderly landlord despite repeated violations of his bail conditions, prosecutors called it an abuse of discretion that endangered public safety. On a Friday, a justice of the Supreme Judicial Court agreed reversing Salem District Court Judge Emily Carstetter's decision and overturning Devin Little into custody. In denying the Commonwealth's motion to revoke and failing to consider some intermediate action, such as the proposed by the defense, the judge faltered in her responsibility to protect the public and failed to take necessary steps to ensure that the defendant will comply with his bail conditions in the future. Why do you think she's sitting on the stand? Because she has a debt to pay to these people. Don't be surprised to jump off the case. Right now, she's in hot water already. She's in hot water. Why? Let's find out the story. Let's see what she did. SJC Justice Geraldine Hines shared that view at the conclusion of an emergency hearing conducted by telephone on Friday afternoon, court documents show. It's rare for prosecutors to file appeals over decisions made by judges in pending cases, and even rarer still for such motions to be allowed. We filed the petition because we believe the judge has abused her discretion in not revoking the defendant's bail. So she didn't use her discretion. In the dangerous hearing, because everything that the lawyers presented, even though they're officers of the court, everything that Jamal Bey presented was mountain size proof. Dismiss this thing right now, that this is some BS. Why are you wasting taxpayers' money for some guys exercising Second Amendment? Oh yeah, because she's the damn judge that just got her stuff overturned and she's in hot water. So she had to railroad somebody to get back in the good seat. She had to do something. And this was her opportunity. We don't care what they say. You're going to dismiss all the motions that the lawyers who we sent to them, that they say they didn't want, but then they said, well, okay, fine. If you're going to have the lawyer, then they can just be there as your spokesperson. And then the lawyers are talking about their clients. They're talking about how their clients had nothing to do with this because he's 21 years old and he's innocent because there's no need for him to be here because he's a carpenter and he's trying to get a job for the summer and all this. He works for them. What are they doing? Building a case. But remember, they're building a case in a criminal judicial system that the entire system is tainted. So if the entire system is tainted and they're still able to carry on in existence, doesn't that tell you that the game's rigged? And once again, that they've been playing you? Once again, proving the point of why there's a Moorish militia in the first place. Proving the point why they went after the Panthers, Because niggers with guns is a problem. But constitutional-minded people with a militia, and they got a nationality and birthrights, and they know that they're not Negro, black, colored, that's a problem. And they went and they got their puppet. They went and got their puppet, Emily. They went and got their puppet, Emily, to railroad the Moors because she owed a debt. The same justice system that's tainted. Because you already know all those black robe people are not some black robe people. They're Eastern Stars and Daughters of Isis and all this other stuff in the background. And all of them have a fez at home. And all of them have Arabic name temples that they go to. But they know how to play the dumb people. And all that, all you spiritual whoever's, all you Reiki and energy and candles and all those people, all you people, since you're not going to do anything with all that stuff to this colonist who has an entire criminal judicial system that's tainted and using it to slander, to libel, to everything negative Moors as a whole. You keep thinking that it's a game, but take all that energy that you got, that you're putting into all these crystals and all that stuff, and you got a wand and you could send energy and all that stuff. You got the crystal, you got the amethyst wand, so you could do some stuff. Well, send these people, our brothers, who they have locked up right now for nothing, send them some energy. If you got powers like that, send them some energy. How is it? Like, oh yeah, and send them some energy because they need it. We already know next court date is August. So they're holding them. And the only thing that we don't know is, what their treatment's like in there. But it's all about being home. It's not about being in there and they're having good treatment. They treat me like a king in prison. No, how about you just send me home? Like, what are you talking about? Now you're going to have me in here and I could do whatever I want, go where I want, but not out the door. No. Without a shadow of a doubt. No. With the utmost conviction that when evidence is presented in the court and the evidence is overwhelmingly in favor of the alleged defendant, to get them off, and instead of the judge looking at the evidence, the judge is going toward her bias. Instead of dealing with the law. So if the judge is going to go with her bias and not go with the law, because the evidence showed that if somebody has a video saying, we are not sovereign citizen, we are not anti-government, we are not black identity extremists, we are not here to do anything violent, we want a peaceful resolution to this thing that's going on. We are not violating nothing. Proving that they're not dangerous. Remember, the evidence is proving that they're not dangerous. And the evidence is them saying to the highwaymen who are saying that they're dangerous, we are not dangerous. We are not violent. Parents coming up saying they're not violent. They're not violent. And you still deny them bail? Because the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. And don't talk BS about Moors or talking about the judge and all that stuff. It ain't the Moors, it's Cade Crockford. Go talk to Cade Crockford. Because if he knows the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted, then you should be looking at this whole case as the same thing, tainted. Are you? Nah, you're not gonna let the Moors and stuff. Well, they shoulda, and if they called us, they wouldn't have been it. Shut the hell up, you traitor. You sell out dirty Moor. You sell out dirty Moor, you. You're riding with the colonists over your brother? Deprogram whoever, Hebrew, whoever, and all these people who are looking at this and they're not realizing that David A. Love put it out there that they created a black boogeyman. And honest all the Moors that study that they're looking at this thing messed up, upside down, sideways, and everything's messed up. Everything's wrong with this. Everything's wrong. Everything's absolutely wrong. Right? They set it up. Rise of the Moors is the black boogeyman for all the people who are late. Brother David A. Love just put it out today. 12:36. This is while the stuff is going on. Put it out there. Moore's studying bumps into this article. This is today. Court was today. And like we said, so we could recap, the SJC overturned a bail ruling by a Salem judge, which is the same judge that's on this case right now with these Moors, Emily Carstetter. Overturning her decisions because she likes to dismiss motions. She dismisses motions. And the prosecutors filed a petition against her for abuse of discretion. Didn't she abuse her discretion today? Didn't she supremely violate today by revoking the bail so these people go free and go be with their family? Because there was video evidence of them saying that they're not violent and there's zero evidence from the highwaymen that somebody pointed a gun at them and they feel threatened? Is there even a assault? Don't they always give these people what's the charge when they say you stop the police from doing their job or whatever? They didn't even get one of them charges. I thought they're violent. If they're violent, how come there's no charge that they violated one of these highwaymen? Yeah, obstruction charge. How come there's no obstruction charge? How come all the charges have to do with guns? No obstruction charge? How come they don't have obstruction charge? I thought they're violent. But this judge is a discretion abuser. She's a discretion abuser. That's why she's on the case. Because they already know it's going to go in their favor. Because it's at her discretion. So if you can't see if you can't see that the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted, so you can't even take this case serious because it's done before it started. Because where it's at, the place is criminal. Not only that, thousands of U.S. judges who broke their oaths or broke laws stay on the bench. Thousands of U.S. judges are still on the bench even though they broke oaths and broke laws. So what's that tell you about this stuff going on? What's that tell you about your stuff that you went to? You went to court, sued somebody, and you won. Do you know that you just practiced, you just supported the entire corrupt criminal system? Because the corruption is not stopping. They're still doing their corruption. This judge is a discretion abuser, and she got the seat to be able to say whether somebody gets bailed or not because they're dangerous. When they have police evidence, they have the individuals in question who they're claiming is violence evidence that they're not violent. And you're revoking bail? You didn't even say bail $1 million. She revoked it because she's a discretion abuser who she probably have cases on her for being criminal as she is on the bench. And on the white man thing and all that BS, nothing to do with that. Right. This is what you're up against. You thought Moors were playing. Like we said, find me some black guys that were on the highway with some arms and didn't get shot up. Because we know black guys who got shot up for cigarettes. You know black children who got shot up for toy guns. Black children who got shot up for Skittles. Don't forget, they set up the Boogyman. Like they set it up. We don't even go into the confusion. The rise of the Moors considers themselves indigenous people and American nationals, but not U.S. citizens. Despite the Southern Poverty Law Center labeling them as an anti-government, anti-police sovereign citizen group, the group's leader, Jamal Talib Abdullah Bey, denied this characterization and said he sought a peaceful resolution with police. So isn't that enough? Right? Oh, you tried to be peaceful? Oh, we saw all the guns and all that stuff. We thought you guys were Taliban or something. Oh, that's not what it is. Oh, well, we're going to have to slap your wrists. So, all you guys bring your wrists over here. You know what I mean? We'll slap all you guys and, you know, just don't play those games. This is a very serious thing. You know, you guys could have got murdered out there. We're going to slap your wrist because nobody's ever been to jail. Ain't nobody have no criminal record or anything like that. Everybody check everybody's school record. They got A's, B's, and all that stuff. So, you know, obviously they're not troubled people. Obviously not. They're going campings and they didn't have the guns in the thing. And they're going through a state where you can't do that. Okay, fine. Slap them on the wrist. Give them a 10 grand bail. They didn't run anywhere, so they're not going anywhere if you give them a court date. And everybody go about their business. Nah, they gotta defend their girl, Emily. They gotta get Emily a case where she can make her name back. And she put the criminals away in this tainted Massachusetts criminal justice system. Right. In Philadelphia, an estimated 200 white supremacists from the group Patriot Front marched in Center City in full Nazi regalia with black shirts, tan pants, and white face masks, and carrying shields and flags. Reportedly from Texas, they shouted, "Reclaim America," and the election was stolen, a reference to Donald Trump losing the 2020 presidential election to Biden. Set off smoke bombs and had verbal exchanges with passers-by. While angry onlookers chased them away, one can only imagine the reception these fascists would have received had they marched in North Philly, where many quote-unquote black folks live. In a country that cannot control its white supremacy problem, an existential threat to this nation's multiracial democracy, the focus is always on the black boogeyman. There was racism in the media coverage of the rise of the Moors, with references to black identity extremists, a term the FBI created out of whole cloth to describe groups that do not exist. An overwhelmingly white agency with a long history of criminalizing, infiltrating, and neutralizing black political groups and assassinating their leadership. The FBI might as well have called them scary black men. And we know how scary black people with guns are in white America. Some in the black community are not exactly against armed black folks as protection against white terrorists, as history demonstrates from Nat Turner and the Deacons of Defense to the Black Panther Party. Martin Luther King Jr. was nonviolent. but he and the rest of the civil rights movement depended on guns to protect themselves. However, the reality is that black people are branded as violent whether they are armed or not. The FBI viewed Dr. King as the most dangerous black leader in America and wanted him destroyed, even told him to commit suicide. And J. Edgar Hoover viewed the Black Panthers as the greatest threat among the black extremist groups to the internal security of the United States, and their children's free breakfast program potentially the greatest threat to efforts by authorities to neutralize the BPP and destroy what it stands for. Today, the white nationalists in the Republican Party regard Black Lives Matter as terrorists, and athletes such as Colin Kaepernick and Olympian Gwen Berry as un-American for protesting against racial injustice, even as the GOP itself is fresh off an unpatriotic U.S. Capitol terrorism spree. White supremacy always ends in death. Remember that. Honors to David A. Love for pointing out the Boogyman that they created to pin on Rise of the Moors, so they can set up their little hoopla and play dangerous hearing where their judge friend, who was a discretion abuser, was put on the bench to hear this case, where she's going to be able to dismiss the motions put forth by the lawyers which back the position of the evidence that said they're not dangerous. So if they're not dangerous, why aren't they getting bail? Oh, you seem to forget that the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. See why Noble Drew Ali said, have your own grand sheiks and all that stuff. You want European ones, I'll give them to you if you want that. Why Noble Drew Ali said we are a nation? Because if you're a nation and stayed a nation, you would have way more stuff than you have right now when Noble Drew Ali was around. Because we almost had everything at that point. You'll be going to your own court with your own judge. Matter of fact, you would have probably learned from the other guy not to go do any BS or whatever, because you have one hand guy walking around. Hey, what happened to your hand? Yeah, I stole something, and that's what you get under Muslim law, under these Moors. It's gonna go and picking up stuff that's not yours. But you didn't want that. So now this is what you have to deal with. And you're thinking Moors have it bad. Moors don't have it bad. At least we know about our birthright and our nationality. At least we can stand. We can stand for the truth in the face of hypocrisy. So those Moors were standing in the face of hypocrisy today. Judicial hypocrisy. That's what they were standing in. Right? Judicial hypocrisy. Why? Because the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is a fraud, and everyone knows it. But they know they ain't gonna do nothing about it. Fraud knows fraud best. And it's a big circus, and you're the clown for falling for it. All you clowns who claim to be Moors, and you're not backing Rise of the Moors, you're backing the colonists. And we didn't have to tell you that the entire system's corrupt. We could have just told you about the Supreme Judicial Court reversing Emily Carstedter's decision because she's a fraud. He's still not going to ride with Rise of the Moors. Even with that evidence, you're still not going to run Rise of the Moors. Which lets us know that you're no different. You're no different than Carstetter. You're no different than Emily Carstetter if you're against Rise of the Moors and you're a Moor. You're her. You just look like a Moor. Which means that you're a traitor because she's tainted. She shouldn't even be on this case. She shouldn't even be on the case because she's a discretion abuser. And you're going to have to use your discretion if you're dealing with a dangerous hearing. Discretion that she doesn't have. Discretion that she doesn't have. So we know it was a circus. I don't care what the news are telling you. Moors are telling you it was a circus. If you think what they're telling you is what it is, that's not what it is, because we were at the court stuff. We were at the court. Nine to 4 or whatever, 5. These people are recessing like a mofo to not deal with some of this stuff. Because it's an open and shut case. They're not dangerous. So if they're not dangerous, they can go home. Even if you give them bail. Where are they going? What are they going to do? Go shoot something up? Are you dumb? Why would they do that? They weren't going to do that in the first place. They were camping. So what, they had guns with them? They were camping. Oh, this state says that you can't do this and you can't do that. What state said what? State's a corpse. What do you mean the state said something? What does the state say? State said what? Right? When you brought up Article 6 on them, if the state law isn't in harmony with the Constitution, then stuff's what? Oh no, you can't say that and all that stuff. This stuff is open and shut. But they have Emily on the stand. And Emily is not an honest lady. She's a fraud. And they know they have her. They know they have her wrapped around the finger. So they can use her. Hope she could sleep at night, knowing that she's messing up people's lives. Knowing that they're messing up people's lives. They have to know that they're messing up people's lives. They're not just doing this with no remorse. They think they're doing their job. But if the whole entire system's corrupt, then what job are they doing? And remember, don't come at Moors and stuff like that. It's It's the Supreme Judicial Court that overturned Emily Carstetter's decision. It wasn't Moore's, right? It was Cade Crockford who told you that the entire Massachusetts criminal justice system is tainted. It was Michael Behrens and John Schiffman who told you that thousands of U.S. judges broke laws or oaths and they're still on the bench. So look at Moore's. Look at Moore's. We're just letting you know what we found out studying. And what we found out lets us know that this whole debacle, from getting stopped at 1 a.m. for filling up a gas tank to today, is absolute fraud from top to bottom. And the whole plan is to make Rise of the Moors the boogeyman, the black boogeyman. So our people would look at Moors as they don't want anything to do with that, because being a Moor means last week somebody was stealing somebody's house, and then the week after that some guy's on the highway or whatever like that. Next week we don't even know what the Moors are going to do next week. They're waiting to see. But these Moors are going nuts. And then they're absolutely lost. They're absolutely out of it. Because they're listening to the narrative created by these criminals. These criminals who their entire criminal justice system is tainted. Their entire criminal justice system is tainted. And that Supreme Judicial Court already overturned decisions by Emily Carstetter. They already overturned stuff that she did because she's a fraud. And she's the one hearing discretion stuff. When ample amounts of evidence shows that they're not violent. Ample amounts of evidence shows that they're not violent. Ample amounts. Once you prove they're not violent, the whole dangerous hearing thing and all that is out the window. And if it's not dangerous, then the next thing is, okay, well, what law did they break? Well, they weren't supposed to have these stuff open or whatever. Well, yeah, I get it. You know, I mean, just didn't have the stuff on. Slap the wrist and these people go on with their life. Why is this big thing? Why is all this stuff going on? Why is this stuff so why is this going on like this? Because it's psychological warfare, and you better wake up, because these people are not playing. Honors to all the Moors worldwide. Happy Holy Day. Don't forget all you crystal wand people and all that stuff. Make sure you send some energy to the Moors, but they need it. Their next day is not till August, so they need it. Send them energy and stay in tune with the higher frequencies. Honors to all mothers. Honors to the Prophet. Islam to all Moors.